Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a brand new and beautiful day. It's a gorgeous day here in the Enchanted Forest, and I hope it's a beautiful day wherever you happen to be. Good morning, Kimberly Wink. It's good to see you in the chat room. It's always good to see you wherever you happen to be. And for those of you that are out there listening and you're wondering, is the chat room even open? It is. Come on in. It's delightful in the chat room every Wednesday morning. And for those of you that don't currently follow the Temple Within Radio and Media on Spreaker, if you would do me the honor of hitting that follow button, that would be outstanding. That helps get our shows streamed live to more and more providers. So that would be great if you could just follow me. Hey, Meg Gray. It's been a really long time. Hey, Tara. Hey, Rob. Hi, Kimberly. Well, first of all, I'd like to begin by giving thanks, right? It's that time of the year, Thanksgiving, giving thanks, being in gratitude. And as most of you know, every year at this time, I raise money for Gathering Thunder Foundation through my birthday celebration. And this year, we went way over my goal, which is outstanding. And I just wanted to share with everybody that the beneficiary of all of your donations toward my birthday will be going to the little ones, the youth and their families here in West Michigan. And we are partnering with the good folks at the Anishinaabe Circle in Grand Rapids to provide Christmas, essentially, for 25 families in Grand Rapids in the area. So whether you donated $5 or more than that, every single penny that you donated will be giving families and the little ones Christmas, which means a Christmas meal, some of the traditional foods, the rice and all that good stuff, and of course a turkey for Christmas, and also gifts for the little ones. And, you know, Santa Claus doesn't go away because of the pandemic. Santa Claus is still on it. And so I just want to say thank you because of all of you. 25 families will enjoy a beautiful holiday meal for Christmas and with all of the gifts and good things that go with celebrating this particular holiday. And thank you, Miigwech, to our good friends at the Anishinaabe Circle for delivering all of those baskets and goodies to all of the families in Grand Rapids. So thank you all for participating in that. And just wanted you to know. Also, Gathering Thunder Foundation, we have a shipment of, oh my goodness, I can't even tell you how many dozens of really warm wool winter socks, mittens and gloves and hats, face masks, all those things going out to the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. They are on their way today, along with some other things that are needed. A lot of the elderlies are getting sick out on the reservations all across the West, as we all know. In Gathering Thunder Foundation, we do our part. We've helped out in the Navajo Nation, and of course in the Sioux Nations, and locally as well in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan to provide some things for COVID relief for our Native American elders, our relatives that are in dire need. So it's time to give thanks, and I know that many of you donate, you give of your time, elbow grease, as the Sarge used to say. You help us out, you help promote, you say, hey, you know what, Giving Tuesday is coming up, or Amazon, you've designated Gathering Thunder Foundation as your charity of choice. We do receive a deposit every month from all of you that shop on Amazon, and you designate Gathering Thunder Foundation as your charity of choice. And again, we're an all-volunteer organization, so whatever you pitch in, whether it's $1 or more than that, it all goes straight out to help those that are in need. So, Wopila, Miigwech, and thank you. All right, so there, we started out the morning with thank you. in preparation of Thanksgiving here in the United States. Good morning, Janet Smith. Hey, Maggie. Katie, you made it in. That's great. It's outstanding. The cooking will begin here in the kitchen in the Enchanted Forest in a bit. Kelly Spencer and her husband have moved here to Michigan, and they are living with us until their house is ready for them to move in next week. So Kelly will be making some of her household specialties, and I'll be making some of mine. And Todd will be making some of his, and so we'll be having a quaint Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow, and celebrating what we have to give thanks for and to be in gratitude for. Yeah. All right, so the subject this morning is intuition. Some people call it claircognizance. Some people call it clairsentience. Some people call it a gut feeling. I kind of like to think of it as our soul's connection to our human body here. Right, that chakra number 3, the breadbasket, seat of the intuition, the receptor of divine information. It really is a pretty amazing thing, our intuition. And whatever name we call it by, I liken it to the fact that I do believe that we're all wired for sound. In other words, we're all wired for receiving and giving subtle information. It's part of who we are. So whether you're a business person that really has a great business acumen, some people really just know how to pick them and they know how to move in business and broker a really good deal. That's also intuition. I've had a lot of people say to me, I don't believe in that crap, Denise. To which I will respond, if it's a business person, so your really great gut for making business decisions, what do you attribute that to? Is that something that you learned at university or college or through the School of Hard Knocks? Your great gut intuition? Well, now that you say that, people say to me that I do have a knack for knowing, business, getting business done, wrapping it up. I have a knack for sales. I have a knack for this. I have a knack. Well, that knack that you have is your intuition. It's that wonderful stream of thought that's continually flowing from our human base to our soul base. Soul to human, right? Making contact. Major Tom, tune in. Intuition is a great good gift if we utilize it, if we pay attention to it. A lot of times along the way, used to be, I would say, gosh, I really wish I would have listened to my intuition. Wish I would have listened to whatever I was tuning into at that moment. And now it's not even a matter of listening to it. If I sit with it for just a minute or two and the intuition continues to repeat itself, it doesn't go away. In other words, if I have a thought about something, I need to act upon something, or I need to really tune in further to a situation. For me, checking out whether or not it's just a fleeting notion that's passing through my consciousness, and I'm supposed to just bear witness to the thought floating by, or whether it is my intuition, my connection to my soul, my connection to my guides and my ancestors, I sit with it for just a minute longer. And I pay attention to whether or not it really is a fleeting thought, just floating by in the ethers of consciousness. Somebody's consciousness. Could be mine. It could be somebody I'm living with. Could be the dog. I don't know. Could be a horse. And if it sits with me, if it continues to sit with me, I know that it's mine to pay attention to act upon, to look into it further. For me, to light a candle. When I light a candle for myself, in one of the many altars that I have here in my home, the moment that I light that candle and I ignite that spark, it's as though my human body and my soul body say, oh, She's paying attention. She wants to know more. Everything, everybody prepare. Dana is lighting a candle and she wishes to understand more of what it is that we are trying to relay to her. Maybe it's a warning signal. Maybe it's a distress signal. Maybe it's just something that I need to know for my own soul's journey. Maybe it's a caution about a business deal. Can be a lot of things. Maybe it is spirit that's trying to tap me on the shoulder, and since that happens all day long, every day, maybe this particular spirit does need my attention in this moment at this time. I've learned the value of slowing down for a half a minute, for a hot minute, as my kids say, for a hot minute, and to trust it. Trust what it is that I'm being drawn to pay attention to. So who is it that talks to us in that stream of intuitive thought, of feeling, of knowing? Hey, Tracy. Hey, Kelly Spencer. Lady Hawk, Sonia. Yay. Well, thank you for that 42 cents, Rob Coulter. Hey, Angie. Going back to our Amazon donations, Kelly knows because she's the treasurer of Gathering Thunder Foundation. Adds up really quickly. Just imagine if 1,000 people, 42 cents, that would be pretty wonderful. Designating Gathering Thunder Foundation as your Amazon charity of choice. Yeah. Anyway, back to intuition. Who is it that speaks to us in our intuition? Who is it that hooks into that line? I just had a visual of Lily Tomlin, right? 1 ringy dingy, 2 ringy dingies. Who is it that taps in? Well, this can be the tricky part. Who is it that's speaking to our intuition or through our intuition? Is it a voice that we even want to pay attention to? Is it a knowing that we want to pay attention to? Because who's sending it? I really do liken the ether of our existence here in the astral plane to being like a radio transponder, transmitter, whatever that is. You know, we all have a pineal gland. It's all covered in quartz crystals, just like an old-fashioned radio. Quartz crystals, the receiver and the giver of information. But who's tuning in? How are we taking care of our own antenna, our body, to make sure that whoever it is that's creeping in or speaking through our intuition is somebody that we even want to be dialed into our frequency? Taking good care of our own self, capital S, lower S, our body, mind, spirit, number 1, very important. Having boundaries with who it is that we let tap into our intuition. I think of my stream of intuition really kind of like the aurora borealis coming out of me. And it's extending out to my ancestors, my illuminated ancestors, and those that I know of, my beloveds that have recently passed, like the Sarge, my dad. And of course, my allies in spirit, my totem animals, sparrowhawk, as an example. Also, of course, my guardian angels and those that I work with in the spirit realm, those spirits, those good wakanwashte, the good spirits. So this aurora borealis energy around me, I think of it as like, you know, reaching out to connect with those that I want to be in connection with. And also to my friends, you know, those that I hold dear in this current time, that if they are in trouble, I can pick up on that. But I've set a pretty clear boundary that I don't just want every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there floating around in the ether or on the edges of my aurora borealis energy field sending signals, because I'll be in gridlock and I'll be tapping into energies I don't need to be tapping into. And let's face it, everybody, It takes a lot of energy some days just to pay attention to our intuition, doesn't it? And if we can set healthy boundaries every day, I do it every day. I don't want to just hear from everybody and everything. I visualize my personal Ethernet connecting with those that I wish to have inform me. It's just like I don't want everybody in the universe to inform me of their opinions or thoughts, on social media, let alone out there in the universes. So I have very clear boundaries. I unfollow people on Facebook, and I unfollow spirits that I don't want connecting to me. I don't want that seeping into my reality. Our illuminated ancestors, our allies, our totems, the Wakan Washtays, the good spirits that we speak with and that we want to know things from or learn from. This is their way of communicating with us. And they communicate with us through our intuition, through a feeling, sometimes a snapshot, right? All of a sudden we have this inspiration. Maybe we see something on the inner screen. Maybe we smell something. Maybe we just know something. Maybe we hear something. I think the intuition can also include the clairs. Clairvoyance, clairaudience, the clairs. Those are the voices that I want to connect through me, to me. How do they do it? Sometimes a song will crop up on the radio. Sometimes something will flash up on Instagram. I love Instagram. Gathering Thunder Foundation now has a page on Instagram, by the way. I don't want a bunch of noise coming through, yelling that. Why am I hearing that? Sometimes I'll hear it on the outer screen, sometimes, or in the outer world, sometimes in the inner world of my mind, I'll hear it. I pay attention to it and I act upon it. Or I don't act, because sometimes Spirit will say, we want you to know this, but it's not for you to act upon. It's for you to hold sacred space for. It's unfolding. It's for you to hold the wattage of this information until the time is appropriate. Because not everything that we get in our intuition we're supposed to share. Sometimes we're just supposed to hold it. Keep it sacred. Is this okay to share, right? Or somebody will bring something up to me. And people will always say to me, do you do readings for Todd? Does Todd get readings every day? Do you channel for him or share your intuition? The answer to that is capital N-O, exclamation point. No. Because, Todd has to figure it out on his own. If he asks for my insight into something, which really isn't very often, frankly, then I will share it with him. But he has a pretty good sense of intuition himself. And then there are those times when he will say, well, you did say to me, believe me now or believe me later. I do say that to people. I think that this might be the better option or the better way to go. Well, no, I'm convinced that I need to go left and you're telling me to go right. And I will say either out loud or just inside my little antenna of intuition, believe me now or believe me later. And so sometimes I do hear, geez, you were right. I should have believed you then rather than right now. And the reason that I bring that up is because we all have our own path with our intuition. And if I told him everything that came along the way, he wouldn't learn how to strengthen his own intuitive muscles. And he does have a pretty great intuition. When he's not in his Taurus brain, when he's in the other half of Taurus, he's pretty doggone good at it. Listening to our own soul, this idea of intuition, is something that, when we have time, we should practice it each and every day. Yes, a um, hyperlogical mind. Todd has a hyperlogical mind. It's just how he's wired, to be very, very, very logical, and sometimes to be able to allow the voice of the soul to at least engage with our logic. It can take time, and it can take even more time for the logic to acquiesce to the voice of the soul, and that takes practice. I totally get that. It can also take practice to override or engage in conversation with what we've been told to believe. Meg is saying, me too, hyperlogical. Yeah. Hyperlogical. Also, as I was saying, when it comes to allowing our intuition to talk to our belief system, sometimes our intuition can say, yeah, I was taught to believe that, but my intuition is saying to me, there's really no foundation for the belief system to it. You ever done that before? You bought into a belief system, and pretty soon the intuition creeps in, and you're like, I don't think I buy into that anymore. My intuition is telling me to study something different. My intuition is taking me down a different path. It can be kind of scary when the intuition begins to talk to the belief system. And the belief system starts to say, you know what, maybe the intuition's got something here. And that can be kind of scary at first, going down what some call the rabbit hole. I call it the path of expansion and exploration. Expanded awareness, becoming awake and aware. The intuition is great at that, because the intuition, as I say, at least for me, on the other end of my auric light, there's a voice, there's a being. That's not separate from me, it's connected to me, because we are all connected. It's like, who do you really want to be connected to, is the question. And it's okay to say, I'm no longer okay being connected with you, or your belief system, or your whatever that happens to be. It's okay to say no. That's one of the greatest gifts that we can give our intuition, is not to be cluttered and clouded by old, outdated belief systems, friendships. You know what I'm saying. This is like, preaching to the choir. But really paying attention. And by the way, it's okay to ask for a sign. It's okay to ask for a sign. To delve further into what your intuition is telling you, study. Study, study, study. Study the fact that people can see those that have left their physical body. Study angelology. Study Reiki. Study those martial art practices that delve into healing. Study. In the study, you become more awake and more aware, and always ask questions. It's okay to ask for a sign. My intuition is telling me this, but I need something more. Cool. Ask for a sign. Make it a big one. You can ask your loved ones for a sign. You can ask your angels for a sign. Sparrowhawk, has moved into the forest here. And y'all know, if any of you have been in the classes that I teach or in my sweat lodge, Sparrowhawk is my familiar. And he can chirp it up and get really loud, and he can make people giggle and laugh. He can surprise people. And he recently has moved into the forest here. I would say he's been here for about 1.5 years. And the other day, Kevin was out where Kelly and Lily do moon bathing here in the Enchanted Forest on the full moon. And I said to Kevin, did you hear Sparrowhawk out there chirping it up? And he said, oh my goodness, I was looking for him. He was out there just chatting away. Sometimes if I have an intuition that comes from the spirit of Sparrowhawk, or, him as my ally talking, I'll say, well, give me a sign, chirp it up out in the back or up in the front, will you, Sparrowhawk? And without fail, Sparrowhawk will chat it up. Now, if I ask my daddy, Billy King, to give me a sign, my intuition is saying something is about to happen. Or, daddy, is this really going to happen? Give me a sign. Well, being from deep down in Georgia, down that way, either a great big old Coca-Cola truck will roll on by, right? Or something to do with boiled peanuts or something like that. Jimmy Carter will come up. Asking for signs is an okay way of affirming your intuition. And some people will get the sign after their intuition and they still don't believe it. Well, you can ask for more signs if you want, but it's really kind of cool just to begin to understand that your soul is really intelligent. And if you calm yourself, go out for a walk. Some people really can't calm themselves. I said to Todd the other day, we were driving along and I looked at him. I guess I had never really asked him this question in all the years that we've been together. I looked at him and I said, have you always been ADHD? Or when did you know that you had attention deficit, hyper deficit disorder? Your mind's always going disorder, whatever they call that. He laughed and he said, I think for as long as I can remember. So for some people, the brain is always going. So for him to really slow down, it takes a concerted effort. Drumming will take him there. So if you need to get into a sacred space with drumming or rattling, that's okay if you have a mind that doesn't settle. It's all okay. We're not all called to be and receive messages from the hierarchy of the angelic realms, being channeled through Pleiades and all that other stuff. For some, just tapping into the voice of the soul is a task in and of itself. And for those of you that are listening that have given up, I'm here to tell you it's okay. It's okay. Frankly, I question a lot of the people that are channeling ascended beings from the Pleiades, the seventh star out in the whatever. I'm like my own biggest skeptic, and I'm everybody else's skeptic too. Because sometimes your intuition says, be skeptical of that. Just because they look really cool on their YouTube channel, and they say they're channeling something from only the heavens know, really. Use your intuition. Use your intuition when it comes to teachers. Use your intuition about stuff. I had somebody ask me recently, do you think it's okay that if I can't slow my brain down in the normal way, is it okay for me to just do hallucinogens? Because I just can't sit in meditation, but I know if I do some mushrooms or if I do some ayahuasca or if I do some LSD, I know I can get there really quickly. Well, my answer to that was no. At least for me, no. You're wired for sound. You're wired to receive and to give. So figure out how it is that your body can get there. So I said to him, how do you normally calm your body down? The dog, right? You can be out roping cattle and get some of the best inspiration of your life. You can do it in the shower. Really? Geez, I watch all these YouTube channels, Denise, and all I see is people like talking about sitting with their fingers in a certain position, all wadded up on a pillow. I said, save yourself the agony of trying to do that. I can't even wad myself up on a pillow to meditate. Oh, he said, well, nobody ever told me I could, tap into my intuition that way. I said, leave the LSD, the ayahuasca, the peyote, the mushrooms, leave it alone. Let's try this natural, rhythm method, if you will, for giving birth or not to your intuition. Oh, goodness. I'm not, but that's a whole. Yeah, Meg is saying yes. Yes, yoga, Meg. Yes, yoga. And yeah, Rob, thank you for sharing that. It's not okay even to drink a tall boy. That comes with a cost. Yeah. So you got to figure out how it is that you tap in, and it's all okay. And it's not all glamorous, everybody. So if you're looking at YouTubers and live stream people and you're thinking, wow, look at how they're dressed. Look at what they are doing. Well, that's good for them. But how about you? How about you? How about honoring how you connect? You know, sometimes it's when we're sitting on the tinkle pot, right? Nikki, hey, Nikki. My mind settles when I do my own artwork, but lately I haven't had time to do my own artwork. Yeah, exactly. Getting into the groove with artwork. That's a great way to go. And yes, the microdosing thing. Come on, people. Come on. Oh my goodness, what time is it? I was out on the reservation many years ago. Linda Grezak, at Tinklepot. It happens, doesn't it, everybody? Let's be honest. Sometimes when you're on another show, then, isn't it? Invited you and I to do ceremonies with him out at the Sundance Tree. Remember this? You and I were participating in the elderly ceremony. Not that we were elderlies, but we were out there helping the elderlies. And later that evening, there was a film crew from France, a documentary crew from France, that had come to do a documentary on Leonard Crodog and his thoughts on peyote, ayahuasca, the drugs that some of the young people were utilizing outside of the ceremonies, blah, 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 using it for their own quick connect to Wakantanka, the Tunkashilas, the spirits. And I remember Linda and I sitting inside our motel room, because it was being filmed literally right outside our motel room door. And I remember Leonard Crodog talking about the fact that we really need to be conscious when we're going to do things such as peyote, ayahuasca, mushrooms, etc., who's indigenous to that plant, to that country. Is that plant indigenous to you as a human being? Will it resonate with your ancestry? Oh, I didn't really think about that before. And I learned more about that in Decatur when David Sturkin and I went last summer to Decatur. And we participated that you're connecting with. What is that plant? What is that herb? Is it indigenous to your ancestry? I never thought about that. And there they were again talking about it. Is it indigenous to your bloodline? Stop looking outside of your bloodline. Sometimes our own ancestors, if you know who or where your ancestors came from, who they are, where they came from, there are methodologies for tapping deeper into your intuition and your walk with spirit based on your blood and your bones. Isn't that fascinating? I find it fascinating. And maybe it's just because I'm an adopted kid that recently, my people found me. So maybe I'm like hyper fascinated by my blood and my bones. I don't know. But as a history buff, and quite honestly, as I've been called many times, a history nerd, I always find antiquity fascinating. Fascinating. What is it? How is it that your bloodline's connected with spirit? This is why so many have found their way back to, for lack of a better word, pagan practices. I refer to it usually as earth-based or spirit-based practices. But pagan, druidic, Wicca, people have found in their own blood and bones their ancestral way of connecting to spirit. To work with the cowrie shell divination. So it's on my ancestral altar right now, this bowl of beautiful cowrie shells. And I've asked my ancestors, to work with them. Jazz them up, if you will. Teach me how to work with them. Just because. So is it that your ancestors found their connection in a stone circle, in a grotto, in the forest, around a fire? How did your ancestors connect? Were they in the temples of Egypt with the incense and the essential oils? Essential oils and incense is an astonishing tool for elevating our ability, our own senses, in order to connect with spirit and our soul. And I've been in many Egyptian temples. And I've been in many Egyptian oracle rooms, in the temples, under the temples. And you can still smell, after all of these thousands of years, the incense and the oils pouring out of the walls. It elevates you. It takes you to that place, which might not work for everybody, but I do have Egyptian ancestry. It speaks to my soul to smell that neroli. Right? It takes me there in an instant to places that ayahuasca probably never would, and acid probably never would. Well, maybe it would, but that's not my gig. What I'm saying is, there was my favorite YouTubers the other day talking about the Orishas and all of that kind of sort of thing, and the fact that here in the United States, the African religions of our ancestors has like a 300 to 500 missing space of time. And she brought up this thought about the fact that our ancestry is in our blood and our bones, and maybe it's time to take what we know, maybe sort of they practice in Africa, play into my African grandmothers. I'll find a way. And recently on Ancestry.com, I've been getting requests from my cousins, my fourth generational cousins. That's where we share our Black grandmothers and grandfathers, are my fourth cousins. It'll be interesting to meet them one day to see how many of them are practicing the old tradition. So what I'm saying is, there are so many ways outside of getting stoned. And I'm not saying, it's your choice. I'm just saying, take a look at some of the cool ways that are available to all of us, honestly. Yeah, so floating in and out. I don't know if we've got some weather coming here. Some of you, I think, can hear me. Internet issues? Okay. Well, everybody, with that, dive into your intuition, the source of your intuition. Talk to the ancestors. Honor your intuition. Be with it. Find out how you best connect. Pay attention. Up next is Carl and Ortrune Franklin with Earth's Ascension. So come back in, log back in, and tune in with Carl and Ortrune with the launch of their brand new monthly podcast, Earth's Ascension. Blessings be, everybody. Get out there and shine as only you can shine. Have a great day, and blessings of Thanksgiving to all.